So good morning and welcome. My name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we'll be talking about the Indian Express newspaper. As usual, we could not come live yesterday because of some reason. So we'll be covering important articles from yesterday's paper as well. Okay, so let's start with our discussion. So in today's discussion, we'll be talking about few important topics like this, which are mentioned over here. That is Russia's nuclear doctrine. Recently, you know that USA has allowed Ukraine to use USA's missiles in you can say for attacking you can say Russia, or you can say inside of Russia as well. Okay, and considering that Russia has come up with the updated policy. Last time they have changed the nuclear policy, that was in 2020, and recently Russia has tweaked their nuclear doctrine, and you can say that this was kind of an indication to the Western world that they should not try to indulge into this particular area right now. Okay, so that is what we will be talking about, that is Russia's nuclear doctrine, and then we will be talking about the PM's Guyana visit. Okay, recently this is a South American country where PM has visited along the G20 alongside of the G20 summit. So we will be talking about that why this particular country is important. As a matter of fact, why these Latin American countries or the South American countries are becoming more and more important. So we will be talking about that. We will also see that what kind of agreement, in which field they have signed the agreements, etc. Then state of the Indian economy. Now there is this article in the, you can say, RBI's governor, sorry, RBI's deputy governor and other members has wrote an article, and we will be talking about that article. And article is basically looking into the state of the Indian economy, how Indian economy is performing, what are the challenges in the future. So that is a small article which we will be talking about. There are 2 or 3 terms which has been discussed in this article. Okay, so we will be talking about that particular terms. One is your brain recall. Okay, other than that also there is 1 or 2 terms which has been discussed. We will be talking about that. Okay, here you can say this is the front page of the newspaper. First is looking forward to the de-escalation, focus on the cooperation Rajnath to Chinese counterparts. So basically here defense minister, there is this summit which has happened, there was this meeting which has happened wherein the defense minister has met and they are talking about India and China relations. We have seen that the Chinese counterparts has allowed us to go for the patrolling in the areas of the legacy issues like Demchok, etc. So that was a, you can say, positive step when we are talking about India and China relations. So in the furtherment of that, they have talked about the cooperation and you can say de-escalation related things. This is the repetition of same thing, so we will not go into details of this article. Other than that, you know that Maharashtra has been going for voting and Maharashtra sees highest turnout in 30 years. So that is also a good thing. Voters are getting aware about their rights. So that is one thing over here. Then AQI remains severe. Delhi moves to 50% work from home. Ask private sector to follow as well. Okay. Now we have talked about this issue of pollution. We have talked about the graded action response plan. We have talked about the you can say AQI, air quality index, etc. So mostly we have covered all these things. So we will again not go into details of this. We will be talking about these articles today. Okay. We will be starting with the practice question which was given to you in the last class, that is what is aphantasia. Okay, so we have already discussed that disability in the visual perception, that is not true, because as I told you, this is not a disability, it is a you can say condition. Okay, so this particular word gives it away that it is not a disability. Then second, a condition with little to no visual imagination, so we will be keeping that as an option. Next is basically a disorder affecting the hearing abilities. Now a disorder, it is not a disorder, it is not a disability. Okay, so that is also incorrect. Now it is talking about hearing abilities. So when we are talking about the fantasia, this word is basically, you can say, imagination or the visual imagination related word is there, so that is not related to the hearing abilities. Okay, so that is also wrong. A condition improving the visual memory. Now option A and D, B and D can be your answer, but if you have read about this aphantasia, that means that is a condition wherein you will not be able to do certain things. Okay, because the prefix which is used over here is aphantasia. So basically no visual imagination or little visual imagination. So option B is your right answer. In the option D, they are talking about the improving the visual memory. Now this is not improving the visual memory. So option B is your right answer. Even if you don't know the answer of a particular thing, or if you can say you must not have heard about this thing, you might come to the, you can say, answer correctly with the use of the keywords which has been used in the statements or the options. Okay, So that is about your aphantasia, which is basically a condition with little to no visual imagination. Okay, let's move further, and before moving further, I have this important announcement for you. The classes of Drishti IAS, which used to be conducted in Mukherjee Nagar, now will be conducted in Noida Sector 15. Okay, so nearest metro station is Noida Sector 15, and the address is C171/2 Block A Sector 15 Noida. Other than that, if you want more information, you can call on this number, that is 9311406440, or there is a link which is given in your description. You can actually fill the form and you will be getting the more information from there. Okay, so that is about it. When we are talking about when these classes will be conducted, so for the GS Foundation batch for Hindi medium, from 9th December 11:30 p.m. and for English 12th December 6 p.m. Okay, so this is the timing, or you can directly call on the number which was given on your screen, or you can fill the form which is there in the description. Okay, moving further, if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Now let's move further and start with the next part, that is basically your fact of the day. Now in the facts of the day, I have taken this topic, that is there is a particular village that is Dudmaras. Okay, Dudmaras village is there. Now when we are talking about this particular village that has been selected for the participation in the best tourism village upgrade program. Okay, so this village is there in Chhattisgarh's Bastar district. Okay, now the Dudmaras village that is there in Chhattisgarh Bastar district has been selected to participate in the best tourism village upgrade program under the United Nations Tourism for Rural Development Program, that is UNTRDP, by the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Okay, so now you have to remember this particular line, because they might ask you, or in the PCS examination they might ask you. Okay, moving further, this recognition marks its potential as a hub for the eco-tourism and the sustainable development. Okay, so this is the category in which you can say this particular village has been recognized. Okay, now moving further, now Dudmaras, located in the Kangar Valley National Park, is surrounded by the dense forest. The Kangar River is also, you can say, around the locality, and rich biodiversity, making it prime ecotourism destination. Now two things you have to remember, that is the location of Kangar Valley National Park, that is there in Bastar district of your Chhattisgarh. Then Kangar River is also passing through this area. These are the things. Other than that, there is a tribe which is living over here, that is Dhurva tribe. Okay, now Dudmaras is home to Dhurva tribe, that is offer visitor a chance to experience authentic tribal life through homestays, traditional food, and the guided tours. Okay, now when we are talking about the language, okay, of the Durva tribe, this is part of your Gond tribe and speaks Parsi. It is a Gond dialect. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Two, three things you have to remember: Kangar Valley, Kangar Valley National Park, you have to remember the Kangar River, you have to remember the name of the village, that is Dudmaras. Other than that, you have to remember that that is there in the Chhattisgarh state, and there is the tribe which is Dhurva tribe, which is living in this area, and that tribe is belonging to, or you can say that is part of your Gond tribe, and they have a dialect that is Parji, that is also a Gond dialect. Okay, I hope that is clear. Now we can move further with the next, that is your constitutional amendment. Okay, now 81st Amendment Act 2000 empowered the state to consider the unfilled reserved vacancies for a year as a separate class of the vacancies to be filled up in any succeeding year. That means that, let's say in a particular year, we know that there is this, after the Indra Sahni case, we have this 50% of the cap. Okay, so let's say in a particular year there were 120 vacancies. Okay, now in that 120 vacancies, 100 has been fulfilled. Now there are 20 vacancies which were not fulfilled that particular year. Let's say that year was 2023. Okay, now these 20 vacancies can be carried forward. Okay, in the 2024 they can be added. Let's say in 2024 there were only 80 sorry in 2024, let's say there was only 80 vacancies which were there. Now you will add these 20 vacancies over here, but for the, you can say, consideration of the 50% cap, you will not add these 20 vacancies. You will only take these 80 vacancies, making sure that that 50% cap is not violated, and for that only you have to take the vacancies which has been announced in that particular year, not the carry forwarded ones. Okay, I hope that is clear. So that has been added in this particular amendment act, that is 81st Amendment Act 2000, which is saying that empowered the state to consider the unfilled reserved vacancies of a year as a separate class of vacancies, okay, to be filled up in any succeeding years. Now, when we are talking about these vacancies, we are talking about the reserved vacancies, okay, we are talking about the reservation over here. We are talking about the reserved vacancies. Let's say reserved vacancies were 120 and out of which 100 has been fulfilled, 20 could not. Now these 20 can be carried forward in the same category in the next year and they will not be added to the 50% cap, okay, they will not be considered for the 50% cap. Now such class of vacancies is not to be combined with the vacancies of the year in which they are being filled up to determine the ceiling of 50% reservation on the total number of the vacancies that year. So that we have seen. Now in brief, this amendment ended the 50% ceiling on the reservation in the backlog vacancies. So for the backlog vacancies which are coming from the previous year, on which you will not be seeing the 50% you can say cap which has been imposed by the court in the Indira Sahni judgment. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move further and start our today's discussion. That is, first, your Putin lowers Russia's threshold for using nukes. Kremlin says it's a signal to the West. Okay, now what has happened? You know that Russia-Ukraine war is going on for a long time now, and after that, recently USA under Joe Biden has allowed to use the missiles by Ukraine and they can target the, you can say, inner areas of Russia. Earlier what used to happen is that now Ukraine earlier cannot use this US missile to target the inner areas of the, you can say, Russia. They can only use it on the border. Okay, recently Joe Biden has said that you can use it for the attacking the inner areas of Russia and Ukraine has gone for that. Now when it has happened, so President Vladimir Putin has come up with the change in the nuclear policy. Okay, so let's see. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday lowered the threshold for nuclear strike in response to a border range conventional attack just days after the White House reportedly allows Ukraine to fire American missiles deep into Russia. So that we have seen. Now Russia has been warning the West for months that if Washington allowed Ukraine to fire us British and French missiles deep into the Russian territory, then Moscow would consider those NATO members to be directly involved in the war with the Ukraine. Now you know that there is this alliance, that is North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that is NATO. Now in this, various Western countries, even European countries are there under the leadership of USA, and the idea is the collective security. They have said that if one country attacks one of the member of the, you can say, this particular alliance, that will be considered as the attack on everyone. Okay, now Russia has said that if any of these countries are attacking or getting involved in the Ukraine fight, they will consider it as an attack on Russia by all of them. Okay, so that is what they have said over here. So here you can say Moscow would consider those NATO members to be directly involved in the war in Ukraine. Now updated Russian nuclear doctrine sets out a framework for the condition under which Putin could order a strike from the world's biggest nuclear arsenal. Okay, so they are basically saying that earlier they said that they will be going for the when we are talking about the nuclear doctrine, they will use in a certain way. Okay, now they are saying that even in the case of conventional war also they can go for the use of nuclear warheads. Okay, now the biggest change was that Russia could consider a nuclear strike in response to the conventional attack on Russia or allies, that is Belarus. There is this country, that is Belarus, that has been, you can say, included in Russia's nuclear umbrella. Russia has said that if you are attacking Russia or Belarus, that will be considered as an attack on Russia. Now in the case of the conventional wars also, they will go for the reaction in the form of the nuclear attack. Okay, created a critical threat to their sovereignty or their territorial integrity. The previous doctrine set out in 2020 decreed that the Russian may use the nuclear weapon in case of the nuclear attack by an enemy or conventional attack that threats the existence of the state. Now earlier there was two considerations which were there. Either there is an enemy which is going for the nuclear attack, or there is a conventional attack which is threatening the existence of the Russian state. Okay, so considering that, they have changed it. They have said that in any case of the conventional war, they might go for the use. That means that they have increased the threshold in which they can use the nuclear warheads. Okay, Any attack by the non-nuclear power supported by a nuclear power would be considered as a joint attack. Now, if you are going for, you can say, let's say USA is not attacking, but Ukraine is attacking and USA is helping them. Okay, so that means that it will be considered as a joint attack. Okay, any attack by one member of the military bloc would be considered an attack by the entire alliance, which is the case in the NATO. If any of the NATO countries attacking on Russia, that means that whole NATO countries are attacking on Russia. Okay, so that is there. 88% of the world's nuclear warheads are with Russia and USA. Maximum number of warheads are with Russia and USA. After that, China has it. Okay, then coming to the next part over here, same things which we have discussed right now has been given in the explain section. Okay, so if you want to go through this, you can go through over here. As I told you, the announcement has been made by the Vladimir Putin over here. What has happened? As I told you last time, the decree was given in 2020. After that, recently what has happened, that Ukraine has attacked through the US's missiles and they have come up with the change in the nuclear policy over here. Why did Russia announce it now? As I told you, recently the Atacms missiles which has been used, these missiles are USA made missiles and which are used by you can say Ukraine in Russia right now. So after that, they have come up with the, you can say, this doctrine. Now how does the new doctrine apply to the Ukraine war? Okay, so in the new doctrine, they have said that three things. You can say a nuclear or non-nuclear country, if they are attacking with the nuclear war or the conventional war, the Russia can go for the, you can say, use of nuclear warheads. Okay. Second thing is, if there is a country that is they are going for an attack with another nuclear country, that will be considered as a joint attack. Third thing, they have said that when we are talking about the alliances, if one country of the alliance is attacking on the country, then they will consider that the whole alliance is attacking on their country. Okay, so these are certain things which has been changed. Okay, how does the new doctrine applies to the Ukraine war? We have seen. Now, why is that they are talking about this now? Because USA is supporting Ukraine and USA is a nuclear you can say state. So that is why they have said that, be it nuclear state or non-nuclear state, if they are coming for us and they are targeting the Russia or their sovereignty and the integrity, territorial integrity, that means that they can go for the nuclear attack. Now, what are the other key changes which has been made in this particular change in the doctrine they are talking about? So let's go through this particular as well. Much of the language is unchanged from 2020, but there is a number of alteration and additions which has been done, in effect lower the threshold of the Russian nuclear use. That means that earlier there was this particular area wherein they could use the nuclear weapon. Okay, the area means that these are, let's say there are 10 reasons for which they could use the, you can say, nuclear weapon. Now they have expanded the areas of the region. Now they have included, let's say, 15 reasons for which they can directly go for the attacking through the nuclear weapons. So that means that they have decreased the threshold. Okay, if for even a small conventional war, they might go for it. Okay, so that is there. Russia is officially placing close ally Belarus under its nuclear umbrella. So that you can remember. Please remember that that is something important which has happened. Russia now says that it may use nuclear weapon in the event of the conventional attack against itself or Belarus. Okay, creates a critical threat to their sovereignty or the territorial integrity. Now moving further, previously Russia had said that it might meet a conventional attack with a nuclear weapon when the very existence of the state is placed under threat. That is what has been said in 2020. Russia says its nuclear deterrent is aimed not only at the other nuclear states but also at the countries that allowed their land, water or airspace to be used to prepare or conduct the aggression against it. That means that even in the vicinity of Russia, there is a country who is not attacking the Russia, but they are supporting a country who wants to attack Russia. That means that they can go for attack on that particular country as well. Okay, and what other threats could prompt the Russia to go for the nuclear war? So this is obviously basic things which they have said, that if Western countries are involving too much in the Russia-Ukraine war, in that case they can go for the you can say nuclear attack. Other than that, they have also said that if any country is directly attacking Russia, so all these things are over here. So you can actually go through this. Now we can move further to the next one. In the world page, there is this article which is here: Putin's spy chief warns West against the direct conflict with Russia after Biden policy shift. So they are saying that direct conflict, they should not go for the direct conflict. Biden's policy shift, that is basically the use of missile, which we have already discussed. Okay, So I hope that is clear. Now we can move to the next one. Here you can say US closed down embassy in Kyiv due to the threat of Russian air attack. There are high chances that if you can say Ukraine has attacked on Russia, there are chances that Russia will go for the retaliation. So that is why they have actually shut down their embassies in the Kyiv. Okay. Now Modi's first visit to Guyana in 56 years. Now when we are talking about the Prime Minister Modi, so he has gone for the visit to Guyana, and this is the you can say first time in 56 years that a Prime Minister has visited the country. Okay, so signs 10 pacts to expand the ties. So we will be seeing that what kind of pacts they have signed, what kind of importance Guyana holds in India's foreign policy. So let's see. Prime Minister Narendra Modi became the first Indian PM to visit Guyana in 56 years, marking a milestone in India-Guyana relations. India and Guyana signed 10 agreements to strengthen the cooperation in the areas like hydrocarbon, digital payment systems, pharmaceuticals and the defense. Now when we are talking about Guyana, Guyana is very important for India's energy sector. Okay, so that is one of the reasons that in the case of hydrocarbons they have signed agreement. When we talk about the digital payments, mostly you can say sharing UPI. We are doing it with various countries so that it will be easy for Indians to go to these countries and use that, or for the traders or for the export and import, so that can be useful. Pharmaceutical and the defense. Guyana is highlighted as a key player in India's energy security and a hub for the long term partnership. Please remember that Guyana has an important place in our energy security and the energy sector. Okay, now here you can see India provided 2 Dornier aircraft to Guyana for military capacity building and pledged support for Guyana's food security through the agriculture initiatives. Okay. Other than that, it is establishing an Jan Aushadhi Kendra. This can be asked in your examination, that in which country India has actually committed to go for establishing a Jan Aushadhi Kendra in Guyana to provide the affordable medicines. Then Modi emphasized Guyana's role in India's outreach to global south. Now that is where I told you that why these countries are important for us. Earlier we used to focus on the, you can say, large countries like USA, Russia, Britain, Italy, France. All these countries were the, you can say, when we are talking about the Indian foreign policy, they hold key importance. Okay, after that there was this time of 1990s to 2014 or 20. That was the time basically wherein we have focused on the you can say South Asian region, Southeast Asian region. Okay, and now we are focusing on those countries which has been neglected earlier, like African countries, like the Latin American countries, or the, you can say, South American countries. Now we are focusing on that because right now we are trying to make good relations with everyone. Okay, so that is you can say there is a shift in the foreign policy. Now here we are saying that we are trying to be leader of the global south. Okay, and these countries are part of the global south, and that is why Modi emphasized the Guyana's role in India's outreach to the global south. One of the agreement involves adopting India's unified payment interface in Guyana, as I told you, that is related to the digital payments. And Modi's visit followed the G20 summit in Brazil, which has happened recently, and reinforced India's efforts to deepen ties with the South American countries. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Now we can move further to the next one. Okay. Now when we are talking about the location of Guyana, here you can say this is the South American continent. Here this is the Caribbean Sea. This is your Caribbean Sea. This is your North Atlantic Ocean. Here you can see with on this coast we have a country, that is Guyana. Guyana shares border with the countries like Venezuela, Brazil and Suriname. Now these are the three countries with which it has the land boundaries. Guyana has the land boundaries with the Venezuela, Suriname and the Brazil. Okay, so please remember that that can be asked in the examination. Other than that, also this region, when we are talking about the Caribbean region or the Central American region, these regions are important for us because recently they have been in the news. Okay, now moving further to the next article, that is private consumption back driving domestic demands. Okay, slowdown witnessed in the second quarter of the current financial year 2024-25 is behind us, as private consumption is again driving the domestic demand. Now why private consumption is driving the domestic demand? That means that recently in the last quarter we have seen that there are various festivals. Okay, So because of the festival season, we have seen that there was increase in the private consumption and the demand. Other than that, also when we are talking about the this time that is related to your the kind of marriage ceremonies etc. are there, and because of which demand has increased. So we are saying that despite the second quarter has seen some kind of slowdown, we have had a good you can say private consumption in the last quarter. So basically that is a good thing. Okay, now festivities related consumption which has been there, and second thing was the recovery in the agriculture sector. Okay, now we are having good speculations that we will have a good crop this year. Okay, so production this year, so that is why these are the two reasons which has drive the you can say private consumption. Okay, however, it has emphasized that there was a need to bring down the inflation in order to help India meet its potential growth. Okay, inflation was high because last time we have checked in the October, we have seen that the inflation was somewhere around, retail inflation was somewhere around 6.21%. Now, when we talk about the inflation, our targets are basically 2 to 6%. Okay, basically RBI has the mandate to keep it to 4% plus minus 2%. That means we have a bracket of 2 to 6%. Okay, now in the last you can say month, we have seen that there was an inflation that is 6.21%, that is outside the bracket. That is a cause of concern, but again this inflation was because of the food and the fuel, that is basically volatile factors which are there in the inflation basket, okay, or the CPI basket. So we can say that that can be controlled, but right now they are saying that focus should be on the inflation control to make sure that India realized its potential. Okay, moving further, footfalls in the malls may be lower, but the e-commerce is doing good. Okay, now when we are talking about the current season after the COVID, we have seen that the e-commerce has paced up. So basically footfalls in the mall may be low, but the e-commerce is doing good with a variety of marketing strategies and the brand recall initiatives to catch the attention of the Gen Z or the generation Z. These are the person who has basically born after 2005 to 6. Okay, now basically they are talking about the e-commerce and they have used a term that is strategies and the brand recall. What is brand recall? We will be seeing in the next slide. Okay, so please keep a note of this particular term. Then coming to the next one, rural India is emerging as a gold mine for the e-commerce. Now there is this unexplored market which is there in the rural India, which has not actually touched the e-commerce yet, but recently in the recent past they have seen that they are also using e-commerce at a very increasing pace. So that is a good thing that rural India is emerging as a gold mine for the e-commerce companies in the festivity seasons, in expected to gather further momentum with the sharp increase in the Kharif output and the optimism around the Rabi production. So basically they are saying that production increases, that means income increases, that means people have money to spend. Okay, and e-commerce is the area where they are spending right now in the rural areas as well. Moving further, direct to consumer D2C model. Now direct to consumer, that means a company or the seller that is directly sending it to the consumer. That means that the your e-commerce only, or you can say there are online deliveries etc which are happening. Okay, so that is your basically direct to consumer. Brand are scrambling for funds, expand their presence and increase sale through the quick commerce, QCom. Now this is a new term which is there, which we will also be discussing, that is QCom or the quick commerce. So we'll be talking about these two terms in the next slide. So right now just know that direct to consumer, or that is D2C kind of branding which is happening, and the Q-commerce that is basically increasing at a very fast pace. And they are saying that right now this ecosystem of Q-commerce is around 5 billion US dollars, and that may increase to 30 billion US dollars by 2930. Okay, so that is basically you can say that emerging market which is there. Okay, now coming to the next one over here, new cities are rising. Why these new cities are rising? Because of the employment. Mostly when we are talking about the job, okay, and better life standard, cities are the place where people think that they will find. Now when a person is coming to the city with the you can say income, the expenses also increases. That means that you are going for the more and more consumption. Okay, and that is why cities are also driving the economy. Other than that, also people are attracted towards the cities because of the better job opportunities, better skill development. All these things has been given in this particular article. Now if there is a better skill development, that means that there are chances that they will get a job, and that means that ultimately that is contributing to the economy. So cities are contributing to the economy. There are cities which are struggling with respect to the job creation. That is also there because of the overcrowding. But right now, if we are looking at the villages cannot offer you that kind of income or that kind of aspirational income in the areas of agriculture, etc. So that is why people are moving towards the cities. Okay, so that has been discussed in this article. Here we will be talking about the brand recall. What is brand recall? Now you must have seen that knowingly or unknowingly, if you are going through the Instagram or the Facebook, you will be finding that there are various advertisements which are there. Okay, so let's say there is a you can say shirt which is there from Wrangler. Okay, you have seen the shirt, that is there is a, and they have given the name of the brand over there. Okay, and you know that there is a brand which is dealing with shirts, that is Wrangler. Okay, now you have gone to a supermarket or you have gone to a clothes shop wherein you have found a tag that is Wrangler. Now you know subconsciously from somewhere that this brand is dealing with shirt and this is a good brand. Okay, so basically that is basically you can say it is your brand recall. How you recall the brand? Because somewhere that information has been given to you, okay, consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously. Now you are recalling that information. So that is basically your brand recall. Okay, so here see, brand recall is the likelihood of instant recollection of the name of a brand by a consumer when prompted with a product or services at any other association with. Okay, so basically when you have been put forward with a, let's say if you are talking about the Bisleri, okay, there is a big bottle of Bisleri which we have seen that is costing around 20 to 25 bucks, and then you have seen a smaller bottle, okay, and that is looking alike the same bottle but it is smaller, or 5 rupees in the cost. So you know that Bisleri deals with you can say water and distilled water, and now you are using that particular thing and you are buying that because you have a trust on that particular brand. Okay, so that is brand recollection which is there. So if you are prompted when you have seen that particular product, you will be realizing that yes, I have seen that particular brand. In simple words, brand recall is a qualitative measure of the consumer's ability to remember the name of the brand. Okay, it is a component of brand awareness which measures the spontaneous recall of the brand from the memory when the customer is prompted by the product category. Okay, I hope that is clear. Simply, if you have seen a particular brand and later on when you are prompted with that particular product, you might be recalling that particular brand. That is all. Okay, now we can move further. The next one is your quick commerce. With the name, it is clear that it has something to do with the speed. Now if you order from an e-commerce company, let's say Amazon or Flipkart, they are delivering it in like 2 days, 1 day. At first they are going for the 1 day deliveries. Okay, but recently you must have realized that these companies are also going for the 60 minutes delivery, 7 minutes delivery, all these things. Okay, then we have Zomato, then we have Blinkit, we have Zepto. These are the, you can say, brands which are basically going for the quick delivery of the products. That is basically your quick commerce. Okay, so here you can see quick commerce, also known as the Q commerce, is a delivery model focused on providing rapid delivery of goods within 10 to 60 minutes. Most of the time it will be around some 30 minutes. Okay, now unlike traditional e-commerce which takes a day or more to fulfill the order, quick commerce prioritizes the speed and convenience, delivering product directly to the consumer as quickly as possible. Now, quick commerce typically focused on everyday essentials such as groceries, personal care item, and the pharmaceuticals. Okay, so we have pharmaceutical related 1 mg. We have when we are talking about the groceries, we have Zepto, we have Blinkit. All these are basically the things which are available in the nearby area. So they have inventories which are available, and directly when the order comes, they will put it into the bucket and they will deliver it. Okay, so when we are talking about the quick commerce, there are 3 things which are important over here. One is convenience. It is quick, easily available. Second is speed. You have to fulfill the order within 10 to 30 minutes, and the limited product range. Okay, as I told you, these are only with the product, you can say, personal care, groceries items which are readily available in the market areas. Okay, so that is basically the components of the quick commerce we have talked about. Now we can move further to the next one. North Korea fight in Ukraine, recalling Moscow's old ties with the Pyongyang. Okay, now when we are talking about this article, I have kept this article for your own read, but right now since we have time, we can talk about this. So here you can see German Chancellor told Vladimir Putin that Russia's deployment of North Korean troops in the war, in the Ukraine war, is the grave escalation. Basically, if there is a war between Russia and Ukraine, and then you can say Russia is using North Korea's soldier, that means that they are trying to escalate the war. Now this was the war between two countries, now that has escalated between three countries now. Okay, so that is the grave, they are saying that it is a grave escalation. Now South Korea's spy agency had earlier warned that North Korean soldiers are getting involved in the, you can say, war. Okay, they are likely fighting the Ukrainians in the Kursk region, east in the of the eastern Russia. Now, Russia has not confirmed these reports. Cooperation between the two countries has been consistent and long-standing, with Russia, the before we have that Soviet Union, helping its small neighbor since the it has came into being. Okay, so how it has started? So here you can see the Soviet army invaded the Korean Peninsula region in 1945. At that point of time, that region was under the, you can say, influence of Japan, or you can say it was the occupation of Japan was there. So in the Korean Peninsula there was Japan, the Russia has actually entered over here, and they have, you can say, fled the Japanese from there. Okay, and after that we know that this is the time of World War 1945. At that point of time, when the you can say Allies actually won the war, so at that point of time this Korean Peninsula, which has been basically divided into two parts. Okay, and how it was divided? With a latitude that is basically 38 parallel. Okay, 38° north latitude, they have divided it, and the upper side was North Korea, and lower side was the South Korea. Now North Korea was under the influence of USSR at that point of time. South Korea was given to USA. It was under the you can say influence of USA at that point of time. Okay, so after a long time, that has happened in 1945, and after that in 5 years, 1950s, there was then another war which broke out. That was the Korean War. Okay, now in the Korean War there was two sides. One was North Korea, that is Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and then there was the South Korea, that was Republic of Korea. Okay, and then there was, you can say, some kind of armistice has you can say they have come up with the, or war was stopped, but there was no agreement or there was no treaty which has been signed. Okay, in 1953, and with the Cold War, after you can say the time of the World War, and then the USS hegemony started to rise, and there was another rival, that was Russia. So basically at that point of time there was the Cold War which was going on. In the Cold War, since there was no treaty which was there, okay, so issue still remains, and the, you can say, gap between the two Koreas, that has actually intensified in during the time of the Cold War. Okay, now there was this prominent this prominent leader, which is Kim Il Sung. Okay, this was a you can say this, you can go through the lifetime of this particular person, which is given over here, how he has become a prominent leader in the Korea. Okay, so here you can see the Kim founded the DPRK, that is basically your North Korea, in 1948, served as its leader until death, that is 1994, and he at the later phases of time he was also made called as the eternal president. Okay, so you can go through this particular thing because this is the history of that particular person, so I will not go into that. Decades of cooperation. After these particular things has happened, after the Cold War also, USA and Korea has always USSR and the Korea, that is North Korea, that they have been allies. Then USA and the South Korea, they have been allies. Okay, so after that there was the cooperation in the term of you can say arms or the other things as well. Okay, they have signed a treaty in 1961, that is the Treaty of Friendship, Cooperation and the Mutual Assistance. After that also they have been the trading partners, economic partners, all these things were there. So basically they have been a good ally in all you can say walks of life. Okay, so that was there. After that also, here you can say, besides providing the political support and the humanitarian assistance, Russia has also maintained important defense relations with the North Korea even after the UN sanctions, followed by the North Korea's first nuclear test, which has been done in 2006. After that, in 2006, North Korea has gone for the nuclear test, and then UN has gone for the sanctions. At that point of time also, Russia has helped the, you can say, North Korea. Okay, Russia-Ukraine wars broke out in 2022. North Korea offered assistance in the form of arms shipments, including artillery cells, rocket to Russia, and recently they are saying that they are involved in the war as well. Okay, so this is about your you can say involvement of North Korea in the Russia-Ukraine and why there was these ties which were there earlier. Okay, now we can move further. For your IR's point of view, China signals is keen on reset in ties with India, get back to doing business. Now why is that happening? Okay, 2020 Galwan issue. Before that we have seen Dokla. After that in 2020 Galwan issue was there. After that India and China's ties has been strained. Okay, there were various round of military level talks which has happened with respect to de-escalation, etc., etc., but they could not come up with the concrete thing over there. But recently India and China, they have started the patrolling in the legacy dispute areas like Demchok and the Deswang plains. Okay, now why is that happening now? Because obviously USA elections were there. We know that Trump is not fond of China. Okay, so he has said that he will go for the putting tariffs up to 60% on China. That means that China's market will restrict, and that is why they are looking towards India, because China's domestic economy is not performing well, their domestic demand is not very well, and that is why they want to go for the export based economy right now, and for that they need to have a market, and India is a great market. So they are saying that we have to enhance the trade with India, and that is why recently you will be seeing that when we are talking about the border transaction, etc., they are also going smoothly. They are also developments which are happening at the border. Now China has this tendency that they will create a leverage for at the time when there is a peace. Okay, they have created the leverage in 2020 for like 4 years. They have exploited the leverage, and now for the 4 years they have actually created the leverage, and now they will be exploiting that they will be talking border smoothly, and then they will want that markets of India are open for China. Okay, so that is why they have changed the stance right now. Okay, here you can say India has been keen to cut its trade deficit with China. As I told you, India and China, if we talk about the trade, we have a huge trade deficit with China. Okay, India's import from China, even after the almost 3% dip in 2023, stood at around, you can say, 99.59 billion US dollar. That is nearly 100 billion US dollar. And when we talk about our exports to China, that is 16 billion. 16.23 billion. So what kind of trade deficit we have? Nearly 85 billion US dollars trade deficit with China. Okay, and still China is saying that they want more access to the Indian economy. So that is about India and China relations, which are seeing some kind of change because of the change in the leadership in USA. Now talking about the ATACMS, that is the missiles which has been used by Ukraine in Russia. That missiles are made by USA. For your prelims, just remember that ATACMS is a missile which has been made by USA, and now Ukraine has used it to attack on Russia, and because of which there was the change in the nuclear policy of Russia. Okay, so you can go through this article, and there is another article for your read that is related to the history of exposition of the sacred relics of the Saint Francis Xavier. Okay, when we are talking about the Saint Francis Xavier, that is a person who has came during the Portugal time in India, and he has resided in Goa. After that he has been on the visited, and then he died in China. His body was initially was there in Malacca, and then it has been transferred to India, and this is the body which is destroying, or you can say mortal remains of the Saint Xavier. They are degrading at a very slow pace. Okay, and that is why this body was also kept for the public display time to time. Okay, so that is happening recently in Goa. Okay, so decennial exposition of the Saint Francis Xavier's body. He is the patron saint. He is also known as the Lord of the Goa. Lord of Goa, that is Goencho Sahib. Okay, so you can remember this term. They can ask you for in the, you can say, prelims. Okay, so this is about this article. You can go through this article. As I recall, there, I think in 2018 or 19, they have actually asked a question related to Goa, in which they have actually mentioned Saint Xavier's Church. Okay, so please go through this article. Okay, now in the end we have this practice question for you. Which country does not share a border with Guyana? Brazil, Venezuela, Suriname, or Argentina? Okay, so you can attempt this question and answer to me in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. I'll see you in the next episode. Till then, have a good day. Thank you, and please subscribe the channel.